Okay, hello and welcome back. We're here day 3 at the Esports Trade Association EsportsNext Conference, having fun in Chicago, as they say, Illinois. And as you're a child, you probably say Illinois, as I did up until my 20s. Now, I'm here with a very special guest, Joni Kraut from Women in Games International. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm super. I feel like we just did this
We did.
virtually last week.
At least we're not getting killed by squirrels today.
Do we get killed by squirrels? I think I got killed by a scorpion. I would have been okay if I got killed by a squirrel in that game, because, I really only had a little bit of knowledge of what was going on. We were playing Final Fantasy 14 last week.
Yep.
And on stream, so it was a lot of fun. So you've been here at the Esports Trade Association Conference. I'm going to give you 2 minutes in the hot seat to give me a little bit of info about you and Wiggy. In 2 minutes, the clock starts now. Boom.
Oh man. Okay, hey, what's up? I'm Joni. I'm the CEO at Women in Games International. We are a nonprofit based out of Los Angeles, California. We are focused on normalizing women in the global games industry from a professional standpoint, so we want to see more women in the C-suite. We are finding a direct correlation between more women who are professionals in the industry and more people who identify as gamers who are women, and we don't believe that that's a coincidence. So we want more women working on games. We provide workshops and programs. We have templates. We have AMAs and panels. We're trying to help elevate whatever it is you need from a professional standpoint to get ahead, and we want to be that resource for anybody trying to get into the industry. Look at that, 1 minute.
Oh gosh, now you have another minute and 9 seconds still.
Keep going.
To talk about the initiatives that you're doing. Ready to go.
Oh, okay. Well, we have Wiggy Wednesday. Every Wednesday we have new content. So we have a Cheat Codes podcast focused on mentorship, and it's an interactive podcast. You can ask questions. It's live streamed on Twitch. We actually have one today, if this is today that you're posting
Wednesday.
this. Yep, Wednesday. And then we also have our Stat Boost workshop coming up in September 24th through the 26th, and that's focused on self-advocacy. That is sponsored by Stream for a Cause. And we also have a Power Leveling series the first Wednesday of every month, and that is a panel on Zoom. It's meant to be very kind of off Twitch, so that you can have very specific questions to your situation and not be worried about who's hearing those questions.
Is it like a Discord or something?
It's on Zoom.
Zoom? Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
And then we also have tabletop gaming. So the third Wednesday of every month we have tabletop adventures, and we either play through a game or we talk to people who are into tabletop gaming.
Woo, she did it. So wait, you were telling me about tabletop. You got into Dungeons and Dragons though.
Yeah, I'm a dice goblin. I have so many dice.
I know. The most I know about Dungeons and Dragons is my brother played it in the back of a game shop in the 90s.
Yeah.
And
he can come back now.
And then from the TV show Stranger Things.
Yes.
And from seeing it at game shops. And then I played this DOS game in the 90s called Eye of the Beholder.
Okay.
It was like a go through a dungeon, and it was really not the same at all. But so.
Good story.
I've seen Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch play, but you on Thursdays, you said? When do you do the tabletop?
Oh, no, that's Critical Role. Yeah, we totally are the same as, yeah.
So you're the tabletop, though?
The tabletop. So I think it's the third or fourth Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
We have tabletop adventures, and we want to normalize women in the entire industry. So not just video game development, but tabletop and esports, and so we're really trying to just incorporate different areas of the games industry. So we're trying to normalize that women also play tabletop gaming. So we feature chess, we feature D&D. We have a friend who's actually launching a Kickstarter right now, so that's all finalized, and we're going to do their game as soon as it comes out.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so
that's a fun process. My buddy created a board game, and he's a board game nerd. He's got 2, but one's actually in a box, and we played a lot of time. It's called Mow Money, like a mowing. Anyways,
cute.
His dad was like a mower growing up, whatever that, lawn care company, that's the word.
Lawn care.
So it's very much one of those get contracts, build up a repertoire, and put tokens in, very much like
Nice.
other games. That we play. I play a lot of board games. Board games and card games I've played for years.
Yes.
A lot of people, all the couples from church, we all whatever for years.
Nice.
But we've definitely been turned on to really fun games like the Panda game. So Panda it's an Asian name. Okay. And we'll move on from that one. Settler Catan, we played that a few times. King Domino, my kids love. It's a really fun two little things where you have to match up wheat and grass.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Machikoro is a lot of fun.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
look at that. I'm saying stuff you don't even know.
Yeah, I
Joni.
like exploding kittens.
We just got that last month. My kids love it.
Fun. Yeah.
They love it. And we got the unicorns one.
Yeah. Is it
Something.
just exploding unicorns?
Is that what's called?
I have no idea, but I do know the unicorn.
Unicorn one. That one we love. We think, this is going to take 20 minutes, and then 3 hours later we're done with the game.
Yeah.
Maybe, or we're mad at each other.
Or just
like it's
done.
bedtime, kids. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up. We won't pick it up tomorrow. Okay, so gaming. Obviously, we're talking about tabletop right now. The last question I have, I think you answered this last week on the other show, was tabletop in the sense of it's on Zoom or it's a Discord where people are watching one of the things, or are you playing like an online version of it, or?
Yeah, so when we do the tabletop adventures, we do it on Twitch, and we just stream it there. We also just set up our YouTube channel, which is very exciting. I don't know what's on there. You can check it out. But everything is at Get Wiggy, and we did a one-shot for the very first one, and we got such a really positive response that we made it a monthly thing. And we love to feature female-created games, and then female gamers who are women gamers. Just anybody who identifies as underrepresented is really who we're trying to promote, and trying to give that amplification of their voice and the game that they're playing, and the fact that they are playing it and they're excited to be there. So,
Well, you're doing great work. I think what you're doing with Women Games International is amazing. I think the opportunity, what you just said, with more female content creators, more female gamers, more female game creators, right? So if you're out there, what's a website they can go to?
GetWiggy.com.
GetWiggy.com. I don't know why
Get
Wiggy.
wiggy with it. I inherited that. I didn't make that up.
That's exactly why. Get Wiggy. We're in Miami with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Saying Get Wiggy.
So it's actually Get Women in Games International. It makes sense if you think about it. But Get Women.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
But Get Wiggy is really cool. It makes you want to dance.
Definitely.
So last couple questions here about the conference.
Yes.
So yesterday you were on a panel for women in games. I think that was
Esports. Yeah.
There we go. Esports. Which there's a difference, folks. Women in esports. What were some takeaways for you in that time from the other panelists?
Oh, the other panels were amazing. Also, the moderator was incredible. Just hearing everybody's
April is
story.
crazy good.
She's so high energy. She's just always happy. She's amazing. We talked a lot after the panel too. We had a lot of people kind of coming up to us, and I was kind of like, it's still the same questions of how do we get more women in gaming, and I'm like, come on guys, let's move forward. But I think the fact that it's still the question means it's still a big conversation, and it's exciting to see how many companies are interested in getting more girls on their esports team and getting more diversity within their whether it's their college team or it's their professional team or it's just their industry. I think the biggest takeaway was just that there is still that interest, and there's just a lot of learning to do, a lot of growth.
Yes, that has got to be. I think we talked about this as well. Just you're a girl gamer. Tell us why there aren't more girls, or why there are more women, or let's only bring you on the show to talk about women in esports.
Yeah.
I never get, hey, Bubba, can you come in and talk about chubby white men with beard? Can you come in and talk about
What is it like to be a white cis male in gaming?
White cis male in gaming, I have nothing to worry about.
Oh man, that's amazing. How do we get more white cis males into gaming?
Allies.
Wow.
You know how there's video games where there's evil ones and allies? Be the latter
The
one,
good guy.
the ally. You can be an ally. And like I've said, I am still ignorant, and I can be an ally. So you have forgiveness when it comes to understanding, but you can also. You don't have to worry about asking questions. You can ask questions.
Yes.
Like Joni, what is it acceptable for me to represent myself as he, him, and should I put that on my LinkedIn? Is that something I should do, or am I perpetuating something, or am I giving in, or why is it important for me to do something like he/him on my LinkedIn?
So I've had a lot of really great conversations, especially check out Queer Women of Esports. They have an amazing DEI training program and just have these conversations all the time. You can just ask anything. I've learned a lot from that group. So I agree with putting the she, her, the he, him, the they, them, if you want to. I think encouraging people to do it, to normalize it, and also to make sure that the conversations you're having are meaningful and include you as you are. And I think that's important. I don't like the idea of pushing people that you have to do it. Some people aren't ready to say their pronouns. So if you want to and you're comfortable with it, I say do it. But if you're not, there's no pressure that you have to. If you are a he, him, and you identify as a he, him, and you were maybe born as a he, him, and you don't want to put he, him on your profile, then don't, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's just, if you want to be that ally, if you want to take that next step, and you want to show that it's a normalized thing to identify yourself, then I encourage it.
Well, I agree with you. There's two ends of the spectrum of how I feel most men in this situation may feel of, I'm going to do it to jump on the bandwagon because I changed my logo to all black last summer, and I put a rainbow flag on my logo last year as well. So I'm gonna
from June 1st to June 30th.
I did it all of a month, and so I recognize that there's a lot of that. I do what's trendy,
right?
And then I recognize there's a lot of I am an ally. So I like what you said about not being forced, because it does need to be normalized. I think that's what's important, and the benefit of cis white males of having no care in the world, we need to understand what it's like. We need to understand what it's like, and we don't, because we sit in this position, this role, and it's dumb. So.
Well, and depression rates right now among cis white males are at an all-time high, because there is a lot of, calling out what's wrong. So I think it's just really taking that stance of moving forward with, I do have a seat of privilege, and I'm going to use it to leave the world a better place. And I think that's a better conversation of, it's not something's wrong with you because you're amazing or because you have these amazing opportunities. It's because you have these amazing opportunities, what could you be using this platform for to help encourage or empower someone else? So empowered people empower people. If you're empowered, find a way to empower somebody else.
Empower. Love it. Okay. So getwiggy.com. Empower people. Hold hands and let's do this together.
Kumbaya.
We are the world. I heard yesterday that was like one of the most. I was listening to a book because I don't like to read. I like to listen to books.
Okay.
I was reading this book called The Third Place. I think I was telling you about it last week, but the guy was interviewing Quincy Jones, the musician, and he was talking about how the We Are the World from the 80s, with like Michael Jackson and Sting and everybody else. That's like the number one most top song ever in the history.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. I would have thought like Justin Bieber would have had that. The Biebs. Yeah. Anyway, side note, we're here at the Esports Trade Association Conference, Esports Next. This has been Joni Kraut with Women in Games International. GetWiggy.com. Get Wiggy on social media. Check it out. If you are a woman or a female and want to know more and are a content creator or a game creator or any of that kind, please check out GetWiggy.com. Thanks so much, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Perfect time.
And we're back. We're back here at the Esports Trade Association. I am here with a very special guest who just heard a very special announcement. We just had Joni on. She was on a panel with April yesterday who has a ton of energy, and we're going to let Megan come in because now she's finally back, and we're hoping that she can actually sit down and present something special to you, April. That sound good?
That sounds fantastic.
And you're going to act very surprised. Are you guys ready?
I am.
Okay, I'm going to step
ready.
out of frame, and Megan's going to jump in with something very special. Are you ready?
So cool.
I'm not ready.
Okay,
What?
she's not ready. Why don't you hold something up and show us behind us? Here. Show us this amazingness.
Tell them we'll be right back.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Good. How are you doing this
And we
morning?
are back. Welcome back. Megan, so glad you're here.
Oh
Tell us
my
what's up.
gosh. What about my co-host over here? I'm Megan Van Petten with the Esports Connected podcast. I'm still your host, I swear. But today, I've been sharing the show with Bubba. And the reason why we invited Bubba on this panel is most important because he's actually the founding creator of the Level Up Fund. And he's very humble, but I want to talk about how that got created. It was over a cup of coffee on
Sure.
a Zoom
Yep.
in a very early morning.
Yep.
And tell us the story, Bubba.
So my big thought was there's nonprofits out there. I running one, Danny Martin running another in the esports space. There's probably only like nonprofits in the gaming esports space, maybe 4 or 5 of us at the time, maybe a year or two ago. And there's been a lot more we've helped develop. But the idea of supporting nonprofits from gamers was a really big deal, especially the trade association, where there's organizations that have funds that want to give back and do corporate philanthropy.
That's right.
But then the other idea where we go to kind of these conferences, a lot of the conferences I've been to in sports and entertainment, there's always a local charity that you need to give back to when you go to conferences. So all that kind of shaped into the Level Up Fund, where people could donate online through their ESTA membership or any other things, to where the Level Up Fund, which I think you created the name actually, and it turned into a way for people to give back. And I think we've done some amazing stuff this week, especially. So we have April here as well.
So when I met April here in Chicago and I heard about what she's done, I brought the story back to the board and the committee and was overjoyed. So April, we are here today to hear about your mission, and you have an announcement to make.
Thank you so much. Yes, I so appreciate all that you've done, both of you, for conception and execution and making things real. That's the gist of innovation and creativity, and that's the space we're in today. And what we're working on here is in partnership with Scott Greenberg and Chris Sly and Cameron. We're building a brilliant, beautiful new stadium, $30 million esports stadium, 4 blocks from our college campus at Illinois Tech. And we are at Illinois Tech doing the community service component. So we launched the Bronzeville Esports League last month, and we are working tirelessly to connect CPS schools, colleges, businesses, using Surge as our centerpiece. That's where all of the really cool stuff's going to happen. But we'll be training kids in the neighborhood, all about the esports ecosystem, helping them identify future careers, helping them play, helping them support their siblings. There's so many routes, so many paths to profitability with esports that the kids in our neighborhoods just don't know about. So the fact that we get to even just give, not necessarily build brand new labs, but even give that information and give them access to the labs that are at IIT and that will be at Surge. It's going to be huge. And
It's been a tough climb. I often talk about the old Irish proverb from my grandfather of throwing the hat over the fence. But think about April for a moment. Here she is at IIT, and she's got these professors coming in. And they all have a pot of grant money, right? Or a pot of gold. Yeah. And they're saying, I could save lives. I can cure cancer. I can make the next. Tell us a little bit about, the hat you threw over and the fence you've climbed, about, and you're like, I just want kids to play. And right. It's so simple. So talk a little bit about that journey for you.
No, absolutely. In the university setting, and as collegiate esports explodes, you had a whole panel on it. The red tape and all of the hoops that you have to jump through for funding. You're going after funding, but you're going after funding against established PhDs who have NSF grants, who are doing cutting edge research that saves lives, that creates new batteries that power the world problems. They're literally solving those world problems.
Right.
So when I come in and say, I don't have a world problem necessarily, but esports is important. And community behind esports is important. And this is how you can connect to people. If you really care about diversity and you really care about more women in STEM, this is one wonderful path to connect. And I need a bit of help. I need resources for new labs. I need resources to pay work study students. I need resources to host events, and making the case for those resources against what they also have to choose. It's sometimes challenging, but we do it, and we did it.
and for me, I've been just so impressed because you've really poured into the mission, and your voice has been heard, and there's a seat at the table. Really, it's just a story about just, tenacity and stick-to-itiveness, because we need to spread these resources, among everyone.
Absolutely. And one of the things it's often not the big check, though. We're grateful for the big checks. But it's often just that validation that says, yes, esports is important. Yes, this is something that we acknowledge this is something that will build community. This is something that will help our students have a better college experience. This is something that will give our graduates a pastime that earns money on the side,
Right.
or give them an outlet for their creativeness. So there's just so much to esports that people often don't think about. The leadership skills, the communication skills, the fantastic friends that people make so they don't feel alone. That mental health component to esports is so important.
How long have you been at IIT?
Since 2006, actually.
Wow.
I started.
A few years.
Yeah, I've been
That's
there
a
for
really
while.
big hat. That's a very tall
That's
fan.
2006. I've only been in education for 7 years. That's so you know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
She knows
know,
everything.
You know a lot of
I know a
stuff.
lot
You've
of
educated a lot of folks.
Absolutely.
What are all the different courses you've been teaching at IIT?
Yeah, absolutely. So at IIT, my first in 2006, I actually came to do we're an engineering school, computer science. We're very tech heavy. 90% of our kids are gamers, identify as gamers. And
Wow.
my first job that I wrote was a summer camp for transportation engineering. So
Right.
we took them to see the O'Hare, the new tower when they built that. I love hands-on experiences. So I actually put the hard hats on the kids and take them into the sites to see if this is something they want to do with their lives. So writing summer programs is
I've
so
been
much
over at
fun.
IIT.
Yeah.
It's an incredible facility. You have a great team, great support. I was there for one of our events. It was very well attended. The students are so amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's my favorite part. The students are my favorite part, and giving them experiential learning and real things to do, that's my favorite thing to do.
So with the funding, if these other PhD folks trying to cure cancer, if you had funds, what would you do with those funds? What could you do with more funds to support your community, your students?
Oh, that's awesome. That's a fantastic question. So one of the reasons that there are no esports dominant schools on the south side right near us is because there's just so much to get into alignment. So I would start right there by just doing just what you guys are doing, actually bringing everybody to the table, all the players to the table, mapping out really specifically how do we build this in a way that fits the timing and the needs of the gamers in our community.
That's right.
And then I would fund Chicago public school teachers in a guild-like structure to be our coaches for each. So if we've done surveys, we determined that, say, Apex Legend or Rocket League or Smash is the game. Then we would identify the science teacher or the gym teacher who we could pay to say, organize this group of kids to compete. So it would be a spoken hub sort of structure that supports Chicago Public Schools, the students and the teachers, and keeps everyone connected and learning. And they would come to IIT to learn more about the technology. How do you set up a LAN? How do you do networking? How do you do all of that
Because
stuff?
a lot of these Chicago school teachers are literally funding it themselves.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable,
just
the
pencils.
resources. Exactly. It's not
Right.
just pencils. You totally get it, Bubba.
Well, I mean, from an educator sense, if we look at just America in all, I mean, golly, there's not a lot of funding for education.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the inner city and the disenfranchisement of students, it's not the same as in the suburbs. There's not that property tax that's there. So I think supporting schools that are disenfranchised in low-income areas with access, obviously what we do at the foundation, but what you're doing is who we want to support, is why the level of fund is here with the ESTA to support what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And
Wait, Megan, do you have something?
oh my gosh. We are so excited to announce this. Thank you, Bubba.
Thank you.
April, all the work that you do. This is just the beginning.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful. It really is. And every first step is so important. So many projects don't ever even get to the first step. So that we made it here is huge.
Right
We will keep going, and I'll keep you up to date on everything we do.
Well, you're not going anywhere.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
We'll close this out.
Well, we will be right back because our chairman, John Davidson, would like to talk to Bubba, and would like to talk to April.
Oh.
So stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome to Esports Connected. I am still your host, Megan Van Petten, and I am so excited today to have a couple of guests on. We have April Welch, a recipient of the Level Up Fund, and the famous John Davidson, our chair. Thank you, John. Thank you, April, for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm actually probably the least famous John Davidson. There's actually a talk show host and singer named John Davidson, and there's a Hall of Fame hockey goalie named John Davidson. So I just say every John Davidson is destined for greatness, and I'm just waiting for my turn.
It's just one of my favorite names, too. Yes,
Well,
yes.
that's why I give it to my son as well.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's great to have you, and thank you for that little tidbit of information. I think Johns are great.
John with an H specifically.
Yes,
There's
John
a
with an
big
H.
thing with JONs and JOHNs.
Yeah.
And in fact, I met another JOH in here, and we had this bond because it was like the H.
Yes.
It's like the H.
Yes,
It's
get
like,
it.
If you know, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, welcome.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you for taking the time today.
Absolutely. I've seen you interview so many people, not just during this event, but on your amazing podcast. But every time I walked by this, and I thought, when's you gonna ask me to be on?
I know. Well, you know, we saved this for the perfect time because we could not be more excited for you to share a little bit about the Esports Trade Association mission and vision, why you're here, and then we are so excited to talk about April and what she's
Absolutely.
doing locally. So, yeah, let's share a little bit about, you know, your journey
Sure.
here, John.
Sure. So the Esports Trade Association, our mission is to help improve the business practices of the esports industry to enable gamers to enjoy more of what we love. And so there's this dynamic in the esports industry where you have the endemic industry, people who run and live and breathe gaming, and they know gaming through and through. They know youth culture. They know what people like. The one challenge is typically they're young and they don't have a lot of business experience.
Right.
And there's just, in life, there's just no substitute for experience. Now, in traditional industries, you'll have people who've done it 20, 30 years who know everything or know almost everything, and they can lead those younger people. But the dynamic that we see is the people outside of esports with those complementary skills, as I put it, don't understand the first thing about the community, ecosystem, the structure, etc. And so you really have two groups of people that need each other, but they can't talk to each other.
Right.
And so ESTA is that bridge to bring these folks together and help support more sustainable growth. Because if you have better monetization, you're going to have more teams, more leagues, more events, more money coming into this space, and really just more opportunities for gamers to game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people like April, I just love. Well, number one, I love what you're doing. Huge fan of not just what you're doing, but really your heart and the way you approach people. And you know what April is doing with the Bronzeville Esports League is really the manifestation of our mission. And you know, to bring this conference to Chicago, to help you here in Chicago, to see what you're doing, be inspired with what you're doing. You know this. As we've been planning this conference, boy, nobody showed up too soon, I'll say that, right?
You are funny, John.
We have had the right person at the right time again and again and
We
again.
have.
And sometimes we're like, how are we going to do this?
That's true.
And then what happens? The right person came.
Well, I thought April, she really, talk about the right person. When I went to that IIT event,
Yeah.
and I saw the robots, and I saw, the screens, and the people, the community, the live energy. It was the first event I've been to since COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not leaving. It was
Yeah.
just electric.
Well, and Megan
Electrified.
Megan is like, you got to meet April. And I was like, I would love to. And boy, let me tell you, just, hearing what you've done was impressive. And then meeting you and seeing the person behind everything just took it up a whole nother notch. So why don't you tell us more about what you're doing?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, both of you. It's just been a fantastic journey.
Yeah.
Like you said, it feels like, you climb, and then you meet the right people, and then you get the right paths crossed, and the right connections happen, and it's like it's all laid out for you. If you, like you said, throw your hat over the fence and start trying. That's the goal. You have to trust yourself, have the confidence to say the resources will come. I'm going for it anyway, and the resources will come.
Yes.
You know what I'd love to hear a little more about? Because I'm a big believer in just trying. And this is a little bit, my mindset has really shifted over the last year.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was, during COVID, I got furloughed, and I was going to pitch a big shoe brand to bring me on to lead their esports vertical.
Oh, yes.
And my mom, who is very supportive, but maybe not as optimistic as I am, she said, John, even if that doesn't work out, how fun will that be to try?
Right.
And what I've realized is, we're so afraid of failure a lot of times.
Exactly.
But when you fall forward.
Yeah.
And if you try something
That's
new,
true.
you're going to meet new people, you're going to have new experiences. You may not be where you were hoping, but you're not going to be where you were today.
That's
you're going to be
right.
in a better place.
So
and
true.
that's says a lot about what your
Oh
experience
my
has been.
gosh. And that's one brilliant point that you just made about failing. Our esports kids are not afraid to fail because they do it over and over and over again practicing. And they value failure because they learn so much from it.
Yeah.
And that translates to their regular lives too. So they know that this is not the end. This is the step to the next, the step to the next, the step to the next.
Right.
It's not, it's not something to fear. Whereas our school structure right now sort of sets you up to say failing is the worst thing that could happen to you. You'll be held back.
Right.
You didn't study. There's all the bad things from failing. So I think that's one of the lessons that esports gives people, that resilience and that appreciation for failing and trying again. And that's fantastic. There's so many things that esports gives our kids. Confidence, leadership, it's like a simulation of emotional life because they're so embedded and so invested that failure really, truly hurts. But they get up and they get over it, and they know to switch teams, or they know to switch games even sometimes.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I feel so proud of that our team has developed is the Level Up Fund. And I explained our mission, but we've always said we never wanted to do something just to give ourselves titles or to be fancy or to bring sponsors in to fund a conference or something like that. The only mark of success is positively impacting the esports community and really doing it, right? Finding what are those meaningful things and then doing those meaningful things.
Right.
And the Level Up Fund is not only a way that we as an association are helping the community, but I think it's important too to provide people with opportunities to help others too, right? Sometimes you have this heart to help others, but you don't know how to do it. And the Level Up Fund is one way we can say, hey, you want to help people? This is a way to contribute some money. And, talk a little bit about, so you are the recipients of the Level Up Fund gift.
Our very
first Level
year.
Up
And she's
Fund.
our very first recipient.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about where those dollars are going, so
Yeah.
people can be encouraged to give more.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I'm so proud of and so excited about is the fact that Scott Greenberg and Chris Lai and Cameron chose to put Surge in a primarily African American neighborhood called Bronzeville.
Yeah.
So to complement their efforts, they're going to be our hub, our anchor. And from that space, we're launching the Bronzeville Esports League,
Wow.
which will bring corporations and higher ed and CPS all together. So these first dollars that you guys have given us, thank you so much, will go for that whole ecosystem, for connecting everyone. So like with $1,000 we can't buy a lab, but
Sure.
with $1,000 we can access labs and we can do programming for kids in distress. I'm going to say I think that's the best word, because they've got so much stress and so many peripheral worries that are not in other places for kids just trying to get through school.
Yeah.
So it becomes such an important part of your life because it helps with reading and memorization and all of the things you need to be a good student. You need when you're an elite esports athlete.
Right.
So as we develop their skills on this side of the fence, they're going to naturally develop for their academics and for their job prospects and for confidence and all of that. So this check will go specifically to building those pathways that connect everyone. So I'll be using federal work study dollars to send our students into the CPS schools to teach and to set up these wonderful opportunities to play. And we're going to be hosting events from Scott's facility when it's built. We'll be doing training from Scott's facility when it's built. We'll be doing training from IIT before Scott's facility is built. And we'll be really doing a road show, going from school to school. Alderman Dow asked us to start with 3 schools, Drake, Phillips, and we're going to do that. Drake came to the event that Megan was talking about, so
Amazing.
we're going to make it real. We're so excited. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Youth are so engaged in gaming, and there's so many benefits of it. But a lot of times the parents don't understand what those benefits are. Speaking of youth.
Come on, yeah. Speaking of the youth,
Here we go.
look at what we have here. Come on over. Hi there. Come on in. Do you want to say hello?
Oh, wow.
You can come on in. You can see yourself. Say hi. Come on, step back a little. Here, Joni, come on over. Let's say hello to our viewers.
Aw.
Tell us who this is.
This is Alice. This is my youngest.
Hi, Alice.
Say hi.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Joni.
Aw.
Thank you.
Fun.
It's nice to meet you, Alice.
So as I was saying, is speaking of youth, is a lot of parents don't understand what the positives of gaming are. And I always say the negative aspects of gaming are obvious. Screen time, sedentary lifestyle, not moving, and some video games that maybe you don't want your kid around, right? Some mature content. But the benefits, and there's so many, are less obvious.
Right.
And we as parents, we want the most important things. We want our kids to be safe.
Right.
And so we often fear what we don't understand, right? And so will you share a little bit about what are some of those benefits for kids playing games and how you are fostering them?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's our biggest, like one of the people who are here came from an organization called COPE for parents.
Yeah.
So that doing that work is also part of what we absolutely have to do as a community, to let parents know that this is not detrimental to the health of your kids.
Right.
To let parents know that actually it's instrumental in terms of connectedness and having a common, the same way that sports gives kids a common language to, kids from everywhere can talk about baseball or football or basketball. It gives them something in common to talk about. This generation, they're talking about Smash, they're talking about Rocket League, and if you leave your kids out of that, they don't have the social capital that they need when they get to school.
That's a good point.
Because they don't know what everybody else is talking. They're not
Right.
the in kids, as it were, to sort of make those.
Yeah, I would say, the skins in Fortnite are the new Jordans, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you wanted to come to school and be like, or Mom, I need those shoes. All my friends are wearing those shoes. Now it's just a digital version of that.
Exactly. And that's it sounds trivial, but it's so important. Like people meet in Fortnite.
Right.
And then like in our days, people would go to a dance or do some kind. They're going to a concert in Fortnite now. That's the social element. So when parents see their kids sitting at their computer thinking they're alone, they're not alone.
Right.
It's amazing because we as human beings, we find what we need. And why we're overlooking what the children are doing is so strange, because when I was growing up, it was like, go outside and play. Go be with your friends. And these poor kids, they don't realize, or the parents don't realize, they're being with their friends.
They are with their friends.
Like, you know,
Yes.
and they're finding friends. This is their
Yes.
socialization.
Yes.
And the image I get sometimes is like a dry desert with a flower. And they're finding each other, and they're blossoming, and they're blooming. And
Absolutely.
I don't understand why there's this divide. You know,
Well,
I just don't get it.
I think it's just that the awareness of those positive aspects just aren't clear. You know, and when
yeah.
we were their age, right, when we were kids, what did our parents say? Don't sit too close to the TV. Don't watch too much TV.
That's true.
And that's a good point. And also, let's be honest, we're not advocating that kids should have unhealthy gaming
course.
behaviors, because
Right.
everything has pros and cons.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But when you just keep a kid away from something just because you're afraid that it's bad for them because you didn't learn,
Yeah.
you know, that there are good aspects, and a lot of it is not the parents' fault. They have the best intentions, but it's people like the Esports Trade Association, it's people like yourself that need to let parents know, hey, this is positive. And you know, one thing I heard somebody talk recently on one of our webinars, a gentleman from Microsoft who
Yes.
came and was talking about how they're using Minecraft. And one thing he said, John, not all screen time is created equal.
Right.
I was like, wow, that really opened my mind. So
Yeah.
if you're watching TV or you're watching YouTube,
Yes.
that's mindless because your mind doesn't have to do anything.
Sure.
But when you're playing a video game that requires strategy, that requires communication,
Absolutely.
you're firing on all cylinders there.
Right.
Now, should kids get up and run around and get outside? 100%.
Yes.
But kids are going to be playing video games anyway.
Absolutely.
And so because of that, let's recognize how to make it positive and how it's going to result in careers in business in the long run as well.
So true. And they're not only when they're playing, when they're targeting those elite positions, they're doing research. They're watching YouTube to see other people play and to gain what they can from that. You know, they're doing recon. They're
Yeah.
memorizing all the things that they need to know about a map. They're learning. You know, there's so much that's connected to how you learn in
Right.
prepping for these games that there's really so much to it, and the confidence and the joy that people have at, you know, putting their all into something and then winning, or putting their all into something and finding
Absolutely.
the right people on a team to play with, and
Right.
that camaraderie is just, it's such a fantastic thing to have for our students.
And that's what, April, you're here for, you know, like keeping it real. You know, grassroots.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what moves me. Oftentimes, because I'm just an advocate about giving back 10% of time and or money, just period.
Right.
And I feel like I can touch this, and I can't wait to be there, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet the students. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Because we might not be able to do a whole lab today, but we can be part of that lab.
And we can
and,
start,
and
yeah.
we're showing up with our camera crew, and we're going to be there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes,
That's
yes, ma'am. We are going to
fantastic.
follow your journey because
Yeah.
you are paving the way, my friend.
I'm so hopeful. We really want to be a model for other universities that are in hard-hit areas, because right now it's like we're siloed. Our universities are doing all they can do to wall out the community, and what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is break those walls down and bring in the community through
Please let us know
esports.
how we can help you. We'd love to do
Oh.
even more, anything we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in, and don't go away. We're going to talk to Bubba Gator with Varsity Esports Foundation about about the show. He and D&H Distributing has made this all happen today, as well as some other technology partnerships, but we definitely want to plug everybody that's made this, come alive, and thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Esports Trade Association podcast. I am still your host, Megan Van Petten. Thank you for joining us for Esports Connected. And I have the honor of having one of our most special guests here of the whole day. And I'm going to tell you why. Roger Payne is with YouGov. And why I'm so excited about today's show is that he is a founding board member, that he's the chairman of our research committee. And I want to thank him with all my heart, because it's one thing to come on board when it's cool, but it's another thing to come on board when it's a blank canvas and a couple of markers, and that's what he did. He came when we had markers in our hand and a blank wall. So a big welcome to you, Roger.
Well, thank you. Now I can say I feel like I knew you and us before we were popular. You know, it's like you found the band before they were cool.
That's right.
But no, it's been great. It's been, 3, 4, 5 years. I've lost track of time. That's a great intro. I should be the one who's honored to have the opportunity to be a part of this, given what it's become. So it's awesome.
It is, and it really, it's been special being together after 5 years. Our first live conference we were having here in Chicago 3 years, right, was canceled, and then we had a couple.
It was like a month before, right?
It was like literally, and it was before.
That's such a cool space too.
It was the worst because it was in March, and when did the world shut down? I think April. So we were like right there. And we pivoted to virtual right away. We were like one of the most virtual, one of the most virtual events. And then we did two more virtuals. We did two more virtual conferences, and this is our very first live after 5 years, and it's our birthday this month.
Gosh, you're right. I've lost track of time.
You have lost track of time because it's been 5 years.
Work and kids and everything will do that to you, so?
You would never know.
Oh, thanks.
You look the same. You look even younger.
But yeah, no, it's really come together. It's awesome.
It is.
Downtown, people flying in from all over, despite somehow people have overcome their travel bans, right? We know a lot of companies have travel bans, but people have overrode those to get here, which shows you how important it is to folks. I think partly to see people again, but partly that we're doing something that resonates with a underserved business community.
Right. Yeah. And that's been really nice. Our Level Up Fund, the whole giving back.
That was nice.
We just had April Welch on the show, the recipient of the fund.
Good.
Yeah.
She's always so happy and positive.
She is, and she's doing so much for the community. It's amazing. We're just in the beginning, but we have officially provided the equipment to one of our labs. So we'll be taking the show on the road when it's I know it's nice to give the money. Obviously, giving feels so good, but then it's really nice to see it and touch it and see the children playing and seeing them have their facilities. And,
Yeah, what comes of it?
That's right. That's the joy. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Making Chicago better and helping, serving.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really want to share, because Roger's very humble. First off, we could talk about servant leadership. 5 years. 5 years is a long time to serve on a board, period. One of the promises I made to him is that we would find his lane so it didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And I pride myself in that because I've kept that promise to you. And Roger shares such an important component to what our member benefits are, and we are I think we're the only body to offer what we do. We have a library of curated research that is read, approved, and found by you and your committee. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you're doing that. But I get people contacting me all the time saying, how do I access that library? Where is that again? And and it also is a really good draw for membership, and it's also incredibly comforting to know that when you come to our association for research, it has its stamp of approval.
Yeah, so thank you. So, going way back, I think two of the things that I remember from those initial meetings, or maybe three things from the priority, was how do we provide good legal guidance for the community? How do we provide good diversity options, women in esports, stuff like that? And then how do we justify all this with data and insights? And obviously that's where I was able to raise my hand. And yeah, I like to think that we are one of the few organizations that is trying to be self-serving to the community, to say it doesn't matter who can provide that data to help you, as long as it's obviously accurate and valuable and trustworthy. And so you should work through us to make sure that you're getting what you need. And even just stepping out after our session here, 3 or 4 people came up and said, hey, where can I find this and where can I find that? And I was like, didn't you listen to what I said on stage? You can go into your member portal and you can find all this. And if it's not there, come to us, right?
Right.
I tell people, let's reverse solve the problem.
Yes.
It's what are you trying to achieve, and then let's go out and find the data and the partnerships for you, whether it's from YouGov, which would be great, or if it's from Blinkfire, who's on our committee, or Stream Hatchet, or other people. There's different data sources and files and reasons why you would use it. And we want to be unbiased in how we provide that to the memberships, because everyone has a different challenge, different agenda, different how shall we say, political battles that they need to fight, whether you're for-profit or not-for-profit or academic or whatever. And we like to think that we have a full read on the industry. And selfishly, as a kind of closet nerd, if it's something that's not already existing, let's go create it. Let's go run a custom study. Let's go partner with the larger ESTA. Maybe this is an initiative we can undertake.
And that we've been so grateful for. I mean,
I think
not
we've done
only
it twice
exactly,
so far.
not only do you talk the talk, you walk the walk, and
Yeah.
and we do have 2 examples. One, publicly traded company, very large company that said, let's do a custom research study.
Yeah.
And another company that was doing. We've just been blown away with our partnership. Really going above and beyond for our members and our sponsors. Yeah, if you'd like to share a little bit about the details in that too.
Yeah, now I have to dig back in my memory, but yeah, we've done, I think, a couple webinars and a couple presentations, and they should all be on our library, but it was everything from a CPG brand. We presented a white paper that we created in collaboration with a partner. So again, and I think those are one-off examples.
Yes.
I think what's more important is the people that come to us and say, where can I find this data point, right? We had a blog come who's a member, and I'm blanking on their name, so this is embarrassing, but they came to us and said, hey, we need some data points on streaming figures and who's watching what. And we said, great, here's data that YouGov has, here's some stuff from Blinkfire. I think you put those 2 together, you have yourself a story. And they're like, well, what do we owe you
That
for
was a
this?
wonderful-
And we were like, listen, this is part of the deal. It's an easy pull. Go do it. And if it's going to benefit you and the ESTA, we'll get the downstream effects of that. We're not undertaking any costs for this because it's in our system, and you've already hopefully paid for the ESTA. So, that's why we're here to help, and my extended team is here to help leverage that.
And you really have.
Good. Well, that's good to hear.
Each and every year I joke with Roger, and it's for us to have a board, one of our duties is to rotate. And every year I say, Roger, just one more year. and
We'll see how long you keep stuffing my ego, and we may have a couple more years here to.
Well, and the other thing I should say, besides the obvious, is just Roger's here in Chicago, and it's been a lift to get the association going here. No small feat. So your participation in bringing esports to this city has been insurmountable. Thank you so much, and the city
welcome.
thanks you, and I thank
thank you.
Well, great. We're all on a thankful page. So
Well, I'm excited to see what the next iteration looks like, because as I was saying to people last night at happy hour, this is a great proof point of years in the making, and I think it's even it's exceeded our expectations, but I think there's so much more that's possible if the world was a little more open, a little more budgets, and so I can only imagine the next event is going to be, exponentially larger, just given the momentum we have coming out of this.
I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
That's great.
Yes. Well, thank you, Roger Payne with YouGov.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Esports Connected. We'll be right back.
kind of brought
welcome to the Esports Trade Association, our show Esports Connected. I am still your host, Megan Van Petten, and I am so excited to have Anthony on the show today. Anthony, thank
excited.
you. Thanks for making it all the way out to Chicago.
I did. I came all the way out from New Jersey. It was almost 2-hour flight. That's a lot to ask for
But
somebody.
still, it really
It's a great city. I mean, it's a
Oh my
beautiful city. The
gosh.
weather last night was perfect, and unfortunately, I missed the baseball game, but I heard it was a good thing. I missed it. I heard it wasn't that.
1 point.
Cubs did not do well.
1 point, yeah.
I think it's called a run.
1 run.
Yeah.
Thank
But,
you.
Yeah, I'm excited about the opportunities that the Esports Trade Association brings. I don't think I've ever been to an esports summit of any kind because a lot of times people just talk, and I could do that at home. I want to find people that can help solve solutions, and this
That's
is the
right.
first group that I think that is serious about doing that.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, you really have a great helicopter view of what we're doing, and we are so grateful for that. If you want to talk a little bit about what you see, that would be.
Well, I was just telling the story earlier, and my wife gets bored when I tell the same story, but I owned a company in Korea, and about a little longer than I care to admit, I was in Korea in 2008, and there was a commotion. You always know when there's a celebrity around, and I said, "What's going on over there?" It's like, "Well, that's a famous StarCraft player," and I said, "StarCraft, the video game StarCraft?" It's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So did he kill somebody? Like, what's going on?" It's like, "No, he's just a really famous StarCraft player." I said, "People are famous for playing video games here," and it was something I was I wasn't used to that idea. So as I worked more in Korea, you realize that Korea's national pastime is video games. This is what they do.
Yeah.
So more than soccer, more than baseball, more than anything else, they're a connected society. They have a lot of cafes and what they call e-cafes, and 3 channels at the time that just covered people playing video games. And I thought, this is something I want to do. So I worked at the time for Nexon, which is one of the largest companies there. And one of the things that I learned was, in Korea, when Nexon released a game, it's a lot like Mario Kart. It's called Kart Rider. And on the day that they released it, which was usually a Monday, they would release codes to 7-Eleven that kids can go and buy and get free cars and get celebrity, special cars that they couldn't buy off the game. And that so many people would leave schools to go to 7-Eleven that they would actually close the schools, and it became sort of like a neo-holiday. So the schools had to work with Nexon and say, "Hey, this is kind of nutty. Can you release
Right.
it on a Sunday?
Yes,
Can you
yes.
release it can you at least coordinate with us what's
Right.
going on?" And that's where I think the United States is going. Now, South Korea, Seoul has the benefit of being, it's essentially a country that's a city. I don't know if it's the world's biggest city, but it feels like it is. You can drive in Seoul for an hour, going 60 miles an hour, and you're still in the city zone. It's that big. But it shows you where things are coming here. So there are some disadvantages here. The cities are further apart. Every city is its own government and may be very different from the other government. The political parties don't agree on a lot of stuff, as you know. So what interested me coming here was, here's the group that's trying to put it all together. In the same way that the Entertainment Software Association backs up the video game publishers.
That's right.
When they need, regulatory help, or when they need to solve an issue that encompasses all those publishers, this is where I think the Esports Trade Association has a really, really positive role moving forward.
That's right. Yeah. You've had great insight, and we really so appreciate that you understand the vision and the mission. So it's been a pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about how you got here.
Well, I got on a plane, right? So I parked my car in level 2. I think it was level 2. No, I've done a lot of different things. So my career started out as a toy designer for Hasbro. And then as part of that, I joined, I did the first television show made in computer graphics, a show called Reboot. So I was the art director for that studio in Vancouver. And then I realized I really enjoy working on ideas more than places. Like I've had a couple of companies that were acquired by other companies, like Disney Interactive bought my company, and I work with Comcast and Microsoft, and I always found it that I like working for myself better because I'm I'm at the, I guess, like business development. I come up with the ideas, and then we find the funding and find the people and find and execute on it.
That's right.
I used to develop television shows, so we had a couple of them won Emmy Award, a lot of them won Emmy Awards, and then we just keep doing something different because that's the challenge, right? We got into esports when we went to Korea, in South Korea, and I mentioned that incident that we had. It really woke me up to the possibilities of connecting people, because one of the things that I think we need to do as a society as we get these digital tools and everyone's staring at the phone all the time,
Right.
is how do we then create something that connects people on a personal level? And if you go to Korea, I always say Korea, but it's South Korea. If you go to South Korea, everyone is so focused on being a part of this thing that it just felt nice. Like Christmas
Yes.
and Thanksgiving, everybody feels like I'm part of this thing.
That's right.
And that's why I want esports to succeed, is because it gives people meaning. So during COVID, when all the kids were home, both of my kids joined an esports team that was run by Chris Aviles in Garden State Esports. It's a great organization in
Yes.
New Jersey. He's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
And it gave them meaning. Like now these kids are part of it. They can't see their friends, but every day they're practicing with 15, 20 of their teammates, and they're playing against other people, and they're meeting other teams playing other places. And it brought us meaning at a time that the alternative was pretty horrible. You can't see your friends, and you can't go out, and you can't do anything, even if you could go out. But here's something that gave competition spirit, camaraderie, and focus. So that's what we're trying to do. So when we created Conference 1, it was to the Collegiate Esports League. It was to give focus and really raise the level on collegiate esports, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there are some people that have done some great things, like Rob Johnson, the Collegiate Star League.
Yes.
My friend Matt Jackson is one of my favorite people in all of esports. He's done a lot of collegiate events that have done really well. What we were trying to do and what we're establishing now is, so how do we create that? We don't want to be the authority. We just want to do, a lot of schools spend a lot of money to create the teams. And Rutgers spent a lot of money to create an esports room. And so how do we give all that stuff purpose?
Right.
How do we make sure that all that stuff isn't for nothing?
Exactly.
Right. So this year we're very excited to bring Sports Illustrated as a partner to Conference 1. And what that means is now you're going to play an esport game, and your stats are going to be on sportsillustrated.com. Right? Your game didn't just happen in a void. We're going to broadcast it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to interview people on Sports Illustrated Radio. And now that starts to create the infrastructure that I think that we're going to see to build this stuff out for real.
That's right. And you say, build the stuff out for real. I love when you say that, being that I've been part of the fantasy sports, and watching that.
Which is
yellow
an amazing
brick.
thing. I can't believe you did that. That's a huge lift.
So, when you hear things like, this is what we're starting for real, it is for real.
It is for real.
Being on the ground floor to this sort of innovation is so exciting. And it takes something for you to just wake up with fresh enthusiasm every morning and take on these visions. Because, an idea is one thing. And that was us 5 years ago. This canvas right here was empty, and we had a bunch of markers, and we had 25 people in the room, and we were like, all right, man, we got to bring this association together with purpose. We've got to create our vision and mission. And by the way, it changes constantly. We pivot. Just, every meeting we have, we read the purpose of our existence. And, and we, every meeting. And it is so important. So I totally get it when you say, bringing it.
Well, it's funny because, this morning, because people forget I'm in Chicago, I get a phone call at 5:45. Hey, this is a problem. I'm like, oh my God, you know what time it is? I just, So every day you have those challenges, and sometimes they can really affect you. It's hard to keep reinventing yourself every day, and if you focus on the negatives, it'll derail you. You gotta, what's my goal? What's my goal? What's my goal? But in this space, as we're saying, keep making it real. So I have, technically I guess they're competitors. So in the collegiate esports scene, we have CSL, Rob, and we have Matt. And all of us have agreed, we're going to work together. We may be rivals, we may actually be big rivals down the road, but if we don't work together now,
right,
we're not going to lift this thing.
That's right.
And then even in we're not going to talk about it today, but in the wagering space, Esports Entertainment Group and us have to work together to create the legislation, to create the rules and compliances to lift that space, which I could talk about some other time. Because if we all go at it differently, it's too heavy a lift for one group.
Yes, it
It
is.
is. That's why I love the Esports Association.
And that's why, we have formed things that are really interesting infrastructures. So for starters, we have the board, and we rotate that yearly. But one of the things that we've started that we're doing quarterly is our roundtable. And we are bringing together the biggest players in the space, and we had our very first roundtable Monday. And we will be doing that each quarter, so that should be, something that you may want to consider sitting in on, because what the roundtable is, that I appreciate, is it's sort of where the board can take those ideas and execute through the committees and then through the members. It's just this infrastructure that really, with really great shoulders, because not everybody can be serving every month on the board,
right,
or, always be in rotation. So that, we may want to talk about that as we're forming the roundtable infrastructure quarterly.
Any group that creates solutions is what I'm after. So the American Heart Association about 3 years ago had an issue. Their issue
Yes.
was Play 60 is not as effective as it used to be because kids are playing inside, and
Right.
football, the kids don't follow traditional sports as much as they used to. Like my kids have no idea any player in any league other than Nick Foles, who won the Super Bowl for the Eagles, but that's it. Like they know one guy, right? They don't, and they're 14. They're twins. So the American Heart Association was looking for, well, how do we engage with kids and teenagers to make sure that our foundation and our mission gets accomplished? So we had a roundtable, and they had Apple, they had
Yep.
Microsoft, they
That's
had,
right.
for some reason they invited me. They had all these other groups, and we came up with a solution which just launched recently called Revive. And that's the way you do it. You bring in all these people that can solve issues, and look at it from the point of view of someone that's trying to solve a problem but doesn't have the resources. Let's just, hypothetical, I'm here in this small city, I want to accomplish this, but I need this group, that group, this group, or someone that can do that. I can't afford these people.
That's right.
Is there anyone that could help me solve these problems? Is there anyone that could connect me?
That's right.
Because otherwise, I'm going to be just randomly calling people, and no one wants to take. How many unsolicited emails have you gotten on LinkedIn?
Oh my gosh.
Every day.
Well, I mean, just today. And it's distracting because there's people that are really wanting to connect with me, so I'm just archive.
Right.
Yeah, so, we are here to provide that framework, and we value the talent we have in the room and the time, and, what that what your time means to you. So we really take a lot of pride in coordinating the people that want to be here to make a difference, to come up with solutions, and to make it worth your while, and then to take that forward
Right.
efficiently and effectively and collaboratively.
And I think that's the focus that makes people want to come.
It
and be a
is.
member. It's
That's
like, I have
right.
problems. Can you help me solve it?
100%, and that that's where 20 years of me being in association management has really served.
Yeah.
Because for 20 years I've been making people like you, making your job easy to come here and help a whole community.
Well, I appreciate that.
And yeah, I
I
don't.
mean, I need this. I need this as much as it. I mean, we have like not 27 people, but it's not enough. You have other problems to deal with.
Right.
You don't have anybody that can deal with it or has the expertise or has the connections or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for just coming in a pandemic to Chicago.
It has been, yeah.
I mean, it's been tough, and that's why we put a lot of thought into the program. And 4 days was a long program. When we had the mayor's office here this morning, they said 4 days.
No one has said anything but positive, and it's crazy because I've been to places where it's a little long.
Sure.
Nobody has said anything negative.
Well, thanks for saying that. What we did is we broke it up into time slots. Half day, morning, night, just so
Yeah.
people could really enjoy the city, get familiar with the city, because we will be here every year.
That's great.
So we have
That's really exciting, actually.
August 22nd to 25th in 2022.
Wow.
Save the date. Morgan Stanley is presenting again, and yeah, so we think we're going to need a bigger boat, so we'll start our hotel search. We've already outgrown our first venue, and so we're looking at maybe the McCormick Place.
McCormick Place is the biggest venue in the world.
So yeah, I mean, and
Navy Pier's nice too.
Navy Pier's great. So we're gonna be the association is gonna be setting sail to look at where we'll hold our next event, but it will be here in Chicago, August 22nd through 25th, presented by Morgan Stanley.
The guy that was here
Yes.
from the Chicago, Kyle?
Yes.
You should talk to him and see if he can help sponsor it.
That's right. They are.
Business in Chicago.
You know what they're going to help us do? They're going to help us bring some talent in that hasn't made it to this show. Yes. So Kyle was here, and his boss was here.
Right.
It was just a very. They're very grateful. They were the ones that said, "How did you guys do this for 4 days?" Because we're on day 4.
And this is hard. This is.
You know what? But I was like, I want everyone to see Chicago. It's just one of the greatest cities in the world.
It is, and one of the first things I got from you guys was about the baseball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was that's kind of neat because I don't have to
Isn't
go
it?
and become a tourist in a city that I don't know anything about. I mean, it's just a very neat way to kind of holistically encompass the whole experience.
Wasn't it? I mean, first off, Wrigleyville. I mean, it's just nostalgic. I mean,
It's gorgeous.
love it or not, you gotta see Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
Love the Cubs or not, it's
The bars,
so
the people, the fun,
the energy.
the stadium. Is
It's just so.
It's just 100 and something years old, but it looks like it was built yesterday because they keep renovating it.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. So we'll see what happens next year, but definitely save the date. I know you'll be here.
I will be here.
I know, and it's just been an absolute honor. It's interesting. I have had a lot of people on the show for the last couple of days, and one of the things most have said is stay in your lane, find what you're good at, and keep doing it. And it sounds like you've share that same advice, just staying in your brilliance. I know you want to do something with our event. And I can't wait to hear what your lane will be.
It's finding solutions. I mean, I think that's the issue that we all have is so many of the esports summits are, and they have value with mixers and people talking about topics that you kind of already know. So there's no value in me going.
Right.
And they're not cheap to fly to a city or go somewhere and essentially waste time. So if we're going to go somewhere, I want that time to be effective, and I want to come out with something they didn't have coming in. This is not the Star Wars celebration, which I go to every time they hold it. It's not a pageant. This is a group trying to establish an industry.
That's right.
That has some significant issues that we have not yet solved. And I mentioned in the panel, the biggest issue we have to solve, all of us together, is creating the motivation for people to leave their homes and go out to do something. And if we do that independently, we're not going to succeed. We have to come up with the messaging, come up with the strategy, and all of us execute on it.
That's right. Educate and motivate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having
coming. Thank you for being with us. Another great show, and we'll be back. I'm Megan Van Petten. I'm still your host, and we'll see you soon. Welcome to Esports Connected. I am still your host, Megan Van Petten, and here we are live at the Esports Trade Association, our first annual conference in Chicago, with the fireside chat. I am so honored. This has been my guest of the day. I know you guys have all waited all day for this. Bruce Stein, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a fun fireside chat. They even had a little fire flickering behind us.
Wasn't that a great element?
It's a great tool.
It was a digital fire, and it was on purpose.
It was great.
What a way to end our show. Thank you. We are just delighted that you came here. You are so generous to come all the way.
It's a great industry, and I love being part of it. So it was worth coming here, and you've done a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, want to talk a little bit about your experience? What did you think of the show?
I think there's a need for people that are in a new industry and an emerging industry, and still early in its time, to be able to get together and share experiences, things that are working, things that aren't, so that you don't have the same kind of stutter steps you would if you were isolated.
Right.
And certainly with COVID, it made it even more pronounced. So I think it's fabulous that you guys put this together. Is there another one like it? I don't know, really.
Not that I know of.
But
we are the Esports Trade Association.
I think it is a remarkable idea because of the nature of the different industries that I've seen here. Right, so if you were in your office just working away, you wouldn't get the exposure to people who are in esports, who are in publishing, who are in transactions, who are in all of the components of the industry, and have a chance to kind of share notes. And when I started, people would say, "What inning are we in?" And I would, because I have a lot of traditional sports owners in our group, and I would say, "Well, I think they just sang the national anthem." and now I think we're second or third inning. But that has changed the complexion of the investor base. It's changed the complexion of team ownership and how people are committed to it. But I also think that there's a bit of a misunderstanding on what esports is, because at least as I view it, I see it as a culture change. I see it as a generational change, something that this generation will own. And it has competition, but it has so much more than that in the social component to it. And the ability to put fantasy as you would in fiction. So content creators that are here get a chance to hear perspectives that I don't think they would get if they were just surrounding themselves with other content creators.
Right. Thank you. I totally agree with you. Okay. Brilliant. And a great oversight view that you have.
Yeah, I like to find industries that have strong exogenous tailwinds.
Yes.
Right? So, when I was in the toy business, birth rates worked for you.
Yeah.
It also worked for you that even when there was inflation and the economy was turning down, that parents would be willing to not deprive their kids of anything.
Right.
So there was always some resilience to exogenous variables. In this case, you have both a technology tailwind and a demographic tailwind. And you've yet to commercialize some of the largest audience segments, like women, like minorities, where you can do specialized type of content and gaming that doesn't exist. I think TikTok is a great example.
It is. That is a great example.
Because TikTok is a gaming component, and is it a content platform or is it a gaming platform with content?
Right.
And look at Quibi was a content platform with the best talent in the industry, and it is defunct. But TikTok is worth $60 billion. Why? Because it's tailored in its consumption format and the way they interact with it to the audience. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think you start to make huge leaps, when other media formats authentically start to adjust.
Right.
That's
well,
it.
I agree. Well, thank you for coming home to Sweet Home Chicago. It's been
wonderful.
a pleasure. Bruce Stein,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Esports Connected. I am still your host, Megan Van Petten, and we're live here today with the Esports Trade Association, and oh my gosh, this has been the long-awaited guest. He is our very last guest of the day, and I should turn this tag around. He owns MAP Esports Network, and his name is Jacob Miles. I'm sure many of you know him, but here is the secret. He owns the network. He owns this show, and it wouldn't be here without him. I am going to give my greatest welcome to Jacob. Jacob, thank you for being here.
I could not be more excited to be a part of this. Our first live event. Yay.
I know. It's just been soulful. Just being together, it's priceless.
Very much so, very much so. And the turnout is great. The people and the diversity of the people. I think this is pretty unprecedented in the esports industry.
Well, yeah, you speak about the people, and one of the struggles we had with our association during the pandemic was connecting. And Jacob and I had a call about a year and a half ago, and we came up with the concept of this show, and it's literally one of the best things that we could have ever done. And he is the brainchild. He approved it. He saw the pilot and he said, "Let's go, MVP." And we're just so grateful. How did you get into this? I mean,
well, I saw the esports industry, and I said I need to understand this. And then as I researched it, I realized that I've been a part of the video game and esports industry back to Nolan Bushnell. I worked with Nolan Bushnell on some handheld electronic games and so forth as an engineer with Kenner, and was at the first esports event that he did in California with Atari. And I said,
that's right.
"Oh, so I've been here." So I really saw it as an opportunity to utilize the esports industry to be more inclusive and to help at-risk kids and to help people understand the STEM and the STEAM behind esports.
yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of segue from the toy industry to esports. We certainly have seen that from Bruce Stein.
Yep.
I mean, even I go way back to the toy industry.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at it as well. You look at Bobby Kotick and others in the video game industry. They came out of the toy industry as well. And if you go back, the original video game guys were the toy guys.
Yeah.
ColecoVision, Intellivision, and so forth. Parker Brothers used to be the largest software game manufacturer because they were just doing their monopolies and so forth. So we've always been there, and I think we'll very exciting times, though. Very exciting time. It's just the next generation of toys.
Really, it really is. And we made an announcement this morning. I know that you were, I know you were there, but we're so excited to announce that Morgan Stanley is presenting us here again in Chicago, August 25th, or August 22nd through 25th, and obviously
we'll be here.
I know
We're here. We're in.
I'm going to say this on camera. I'm going to say this live. I'm going to say this recorded. I will never leave this network. This has been one of the best partnerships the Esports Trade Association could have ever done. And I encourage any of you out there, if you have a story to tell and really consider getting a podcast.
Absolutely.
OMG.
Absolutely. We want to inspire folks. We want to know their aspirations, and we want to be able to give them a voice.
That's right.
And we do it through this podcast show, and we have so much stuff coming in the future, and that is. Just people are not going to anticipate in what we're going to do with podcasting and taking it to the next generation.
And you we take it to the next level, when I think about the theme of our conference, you know, you've been so generous from the beginning, being on our events committee, and our conference theme is Beyond the Game. And that's what we've really done here today. The last 4 days is we have gone beyond the game. You know, it's beyond the toy. It's beyond the play. It's beyond the industry. What's it about?
It's about life. Yeah, it's about life. As I was saying in one of the conference sessions, that everything that you see in life is going to be inside of esports. You know, we saw a little bit of it with the Travis Scott concert inside of Fortnite. Well, that's just the beginning. You're going to see everything you see in life. I don't care whether it's dating. I don't care whether it's anything that you see in life. Cooking, it doesn't matter. It's going to be inside of esports, you know, and that's how we get that growth, and that's how we become bigger than the NFL, bigger than the NBA, and all of those things combined. So we're at the beginning of this industry, and Esports Trade Association is going to help guide us through it.
With you, right there. It's your shoulders, my friend. You know, one of the legends in our industry. I couldn't, and we, on behalf of our industry, we can't thank you enough for podcasting us through this.
Absolutely, and well, we look forward to doing more and more to help. And like I said, I was so glad to see my 40-year plus friend, Bruce Stein, here today. We worked together, oh my goodness, 40 years ago, you know, and have been in contact all of these years. And we'd love to bring more of those type of folks as part of the organization and ESTA, because they're out there and they don't understand esports the way we do.
That's right.
And that's what we're here for, to help them to understand it.
And thank you for being here for that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, another great episode. Thank you very much. Esports Connected. I'm Megan Van Petten. I am still your host, and we'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to try to go find Lewis Johnson. Stand by.
On everything you and John put together. This has been tremendous. I mean, I didn't quite know exactly what to expect, right? As I would imagine most of the people who came, but it has been.
I'll share with the audience. Yesterday, Morgan Stanley said, same time, same place next year. Yes, it is.
And so when I saw a couple responsibility to not just do well by yourself, but try to help the next.
Everybody's going to know it now.
Yeah.
But Lewis and
Similar, I think is going to happen.
Next week, we're looking at the name.
It's not about putting a controller in your hand to pass who may not really know, but they want a lot.
This has been the interview.
For pulling off our inaugural event, to be a part of something so amazing. And I'm just so honored to have been a big.
Very first conference, and I was looking for a coach to work on the Esports Trade Association. Can we take a look at the board?
Yes.
So that was, the inception of.
As a coach, coaching is not a one-way street. And so I'm thankful today. And again, with everything, it looks so.
Assisted each and every board that Sharon taught all of us, and boy, just one committee to give you an idea, the one that she just chaired, it kept growing each week, and Sharon said, I got it, and I was like, are you sure? And we have to restructure things, and I said, like what? Everything. And I was like, you're fired. I've never done it in a million years, but it really is one of my strength zones. Now, I'm not claiming to be the best. I'm not claiming, but you know what? I am very comfortable sitting here doing.
So we're here today. They got into it 2 years ago. You got into it 5 years ago. So I've always said you're a great visionary, but you're also great with people, Meg. And just making everyone feel included is just something that I've just been so proud to watch and to see you operating in that lane and in that zone of genius. And the thing is, sometimes we beat up on ourselves because we may be operating in the wrong lane, in a lane that's not suited for us, but it doesn't mean that you're not brilliant somewhere else. And my job as a coach is to help you get to your brilliance, because in your brilliance, only you can do that the way you do it.
And I'm going to go in to say more. Sharon was saying, "Oh my God, in person, you're really shining." But I'm really shining because I'm in my lane.
Yes.
And my lane was really hard to find. And that's what you really helped me do. You helped me find my lane, and it took some leveling. It took some letting go.
Yeah.
It took some restructuring, and it took me pulling away from things I was working on that didn't come natural for me. I was doing an average job in areas, where now we're getting me in a lane where I'm doing my purposeful job. So the AA plus and knocking it out of the park is really easy. So, just making that connection where I'm doing an average job at this versus this is so easy and it's fun, and getting in that lane and living that.
Yeah.
That was what really transformed for me for the coaching, and that, that's my mission. Is that one of my personal missions is to empower people to get a coach.
Yeah.
And so they could see what you don't and what you can't, and with the most loving filter. You had to really, and you do have to fall in love with everyone you take on, which is why you don't take everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have that vibration of getting each other.
Yes.
I mean, it's a relationship.
It's
an hour a week. It's a commitment.
Yeah.
And it's not the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive. You never want to, but it's priceless. The best thing I ever did. And
thank you.
And during a pandemic, I'll never forget, Sharon, she said, Megan, everyone's canceling coaching right now.
Yeah.
And I said, everyone should be buying it right now.
Yeah.
This is the time to get a coach. This is the time to level up because we are never going back to what it was.
No. Megan's absolutely right. And she's the biggest advocate for coaching, by the way. I mean, that's the one message we all hear, at this conference. Megan's, just her belief in, and it's not just me, but in coaching in general. We just happen to have had a successful relationship. But Megan's a big advocate for coaching, and I am too. I really believe that there are people who can see your blind spots, right? People who can see your brilliance.
Yes.
Because we're sometimes harder on ourselves than we should be. And there are people who can say, wait a second, I'm seeing this from a different angle that you can't see. And to help you step up to your full potential. That's what a good coach is supposed to do. They can't make you something you're not, but they can bring out the best of who you are so you can be an A+ in your area of strength. And that's really what I think I've been able to do working with Megan and the team. And being here at this conference, I'm like a data collector, so my mind is filled with so many strategies and ideas for our team, for this association to go to its next level of greatness. I felt like we've gotten to one level and we're here, but with all the feedback that I received this week, and listening to every single panel, that was my job, to listen to every single panel, to see what the trends are and how we as an association can best, solve the needs of what's out there. That's going to be our next leveling up. But the good thing is I know that our team is very well prepared for it. The commitment of our team, the passion, the loyalty, I have no doubt that next year when Bubba has us here sitting in the studio, it would be 5 times as many people that we have at this point. And I'm just looking forward to that.
Well, Sharon and I are great because we really balance each other out. I just had my last interview with Lewis Johnson, and I told him it will be 10 times. So it'll be somewhere between 5 and 10.
Yeah.
We always go in the middle. And that John, if we interview John, he'll probably say 7 times. So it's
yeah.
We are really graced with the team.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the support, the members, the people.
Yes.
And I'll just say, I wouldn't wake up with what I've woken up to for the last 18 months, which has been the toughest stretch for this association.
Yeah.
And,
COVID.
I just can't thank you enough, for doing what you do. I know you have a waiting list, and we're just so lucky that you prioritize working with us and allocate, Sharon allocates a certain amount of hours per month toward the association. She leads our programs. She hops into each and every committee, and also, I think we should talk a little bit about the elevator pitch in the workshop before we go.
Our Bubba is cheering because that was a very popular part of this program. And again, it was Megan's idea. She keeps dragging me into things, For those of you who do vision boards, so last year my vision board, my 2 words were grow and stretch. That's before I met Megan. And she had me to grow and stretch to a whole different level. And so this year when she said, hey, elevator pitch is something I'm passionate about, is what she said. And I'm like, what's an elevator pitch? And she's like, you gotta do this for us. I want you to train our members, because Megan has this really giant heart for the members, because a lot of our members are startups. And she said they need to be polished and they need to be able to present their message right. They're looking for funding. And so could you do a workshop for me? And I'm like, another thing on my plate? And she said, and again, I go by my heart and I read other people's hearts. And so Megan's heart was just palpitating for the members. And I said, okay, I'll dedicate another hour per week. And Megan says, look, I'll cover, give me a good deal and I'll cover it, because I want the members to not have to pay anything, just to show up and just be helped. And so a 1 hour class turned into 2 hours most sessions because I fell in love with the members as well, and I just couldn't walk away as they were pitching and just really trying to clarify their message. So I also became a believer in that, and so I hope to in some way continue helping the members to some degree in strengthening their pitch, because this is such a big thing for them to get that funding, Megan. So again, once again, you opened my eyes to another area of great need in the business. And so for that, I'm thankful, because I was really, truly blessed by the members who showed up every week and really worked hard on bettering themselves on their pitches. So thank you.
Well, I have a story I'm going to share with everyone that Sharon doesn't know.
Uh-oh.
And she hasn't heard.
Uh-oh.
So we compromised. We had this wild card quick pitch, and it was not structured. And Sharon is amazing when it comes to structure and organization. And I begged her to have one person chosen from the audience from night one and just a wild card everybody in the audience that maybe didn't pitch, okay? So it took a little bit of negotiation, but she gave in because she has this great heart. So here's the thing, it wasn't necessarily what Sharon wanted, okay? So she gets up at the podium and she presents this idea. We've never done it. It's out of
my structure.
It is. It's out of her structure. So here's the story. Lewis Johnson brings her up, hands her the microphone. She starts. He's literally walking away from the stage as she brings on the first wild card pitcher. He's still walking. He puts his bag down and he's going to take a break, and he's walking out the door, and he hears the first person that has not had the class, the pitch class. So these are raw people out of the audience. He goes to walk out the door and closes it and turns back around. So he's listening to these people pitch, and I see him, it's like slow motion. So I go around the stage and I walk over to him and he goes, I gotta go back on stage. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I gotta go help her. Because I remember when I was in their shoes.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome.
I remember when I put that microphone in my hand for the first time.
Yeah.
And I can help those people.
Yes.
And I put his bag back down, and I watched him walk right back on stage.
Yep.
And it was literally magic in the moment.
Yep,
I
it
had
was.
chills.
It was.
And there it was, you two legends, helping these people that have a dream.
It was really beautiful, Meg. When Lois came back and he said, Sharon, when everyone leaves the stage, send them to me. I want to help them. I was like, wow. He says, yeah. He says, I have the background in broadcasting, and I think I can really help them to be better. It was such a value add in the moment, Megan. It was like Lois caught the good vibes bug of the ESTA people.
He did.
Because the people here at ESTA, they have a magic. Even in the pitch class that we had, a pitch workshop, there were pitchers helping other pitchers, and they're all competing on the same stage.
Right.
And my husband was also part of the pitch group, and he was so impressed. Like, these people are helping each other, and they're competing for the same prize. And it was such a wholesome environment. It's so helpful.
Yes.
And it's just, I think someone mentioned here, it's just a culture. And then our we are in an industry that's still at the beginning, and we believe that we are almost like pioneers. Follow that shoe